KLTV soundcheck, KLTV soundcheck.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday meeting of the VOCC. We have Reverend Doug Fields with us today. He's going to lead us in invocation.
Good morning. Please join me as I offer a blessing. God Almighty, we thank you for the opportunity to live in a country in which all of our citizens can participate in government and show their concern and share their care for this community. Father, I also thank you for our commissioners, for the calling that you've laid upon them to be leaders in our community. Father, I pray blessings on them for their dedication and commitment. Lord, I also ask for your wisdom, for you to grant them your wisdom and clarity and compassion, Lord, as they make decisions, as they consider the needs of our community. I pray that their heart and their ears are open to the needs of our community and that they respond with wisdom that comes from you. We thank you, Lord, for this and for your authority. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. You want to join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Dryer, good to see you, sir. It's been a while. Okay, I'll seek a motion for approval of minutes.
Mr. Chair, after review of the minutes, I move to approve the minutes of April 14th through the 16th.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes. Any questions, changes? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda. Call for hearings. We have a few call for hearings. We have a call for hearing for proposed surplus vehicle and equipment disposal. It's scheduled for May 13th, 2025. We have a call for hearing to amend the 2025 Cowlitz County budget to dissolve an internal service fund known as purchasing services. The county used to have a print shop and it had some other things that we called internal purchasing services, and we don't have that anymore. So we're dissolving that fund known as purchasing services and to increase appropriations to account for additional expenses and recognize additional revenue. So we're just changing accounts where we put that stuff in. Item 3, call for hearing amendment to chapter 6.13 of Cowlitz County Code, dangerous animals, scheduled for May 13th, 2025. We've changed our code to better identify dangerous animals and how to handle them. We initially were looking at setting up a board to review those. Upon seeing other counties and having some issues with that, we think it's better to go to our hearing examiner to hear those cases. You probably only get maybe 3, maybe 4 at most during a year. So I think a hearing examiner, just hear them based on the merits of the code is probably a better way to go. People, when you have a board, let's be honest, people get emotional on animals and it can get kind of different. So that's the change in that. We're going from initially looking at a board to the hearing examiner. Couple call for bids. Call for bids for countywide guardrail project scheduled for May 20th, 25. This is different than replacement of damaged guardrails. This is new guardrail. It's federal safety dollars. It's not county dollars. I think you would see a big part of this, if I heard right yesterday, up Little Calamity River Road is a big area for it. And then a call for bids for the 2025 Joint Agency Pavement Striping Project scheduled for May 19th, 2025. We're expecting a bid in somewhere around 600,000 plus for that. Board correspondence. We received a copy of a letter from Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to Pacific Corp regarding the response to comments on the 6th SWIFT #2 project. Letter dated 4/15/25 from Perkins Coie regarding health operations in Washington State jails. And I'll touch on that a little bit deeper here in just a second. Letter dated 4/22/25 to Jack Kramer, Executive Director, Maritime Administration Office of Port Infrastructure Development. We sent out a support letter for the Port of Woodland for a rail project that they want to do. We did a similar letter for Kalama, I think a year ago, for some rail extension and stuff. And so the Port of Woodland asked us if we'd give a recommendation for their project down there on rails, and we did that. Vouchers in the amount of $2,491,634.03. Before I end on that, let me touch on that letter from the operations in Washington State jails. When you go to jail in Washington State, you need to be provided health care. At this point in time, if somebody's on a state plan or Medicare or whatever, when they go to jail, that stops. And so we have to provide the health care for them while they're in jail. We have a company that sent us and I got a copy of the letter. They're basically pulling out of the state of Washington. So by the end of September, we have to find another vendor, which is getting extremely difficult to find. The reason they're pulling out is basically 2 lawsuits. EverHealth's related company, NAFCare, is the one we're contracted with, recently received an adverse verdict for $25 million in damages in Tapia versus NAFCare. This is basically NAFCare provided a patient in Pierce County Jail. The patient had an extremely rare and often fatal condition called, I'll butcher this, Plegmacia cerulea dolens. Within 90 minutes of discovering the first symptoms, 2 NAFCare nurses immediately treated this patient and transferred him to Tacoma General Hospital, which saved his life, but tragically also led to below-the-knee amputation. He filed suit, and basically he was awarded $25 million in damages, saying they didn't do it fast enough. Also a court case, the estate of Cindy Hill versus NAFCare. This was over in Spokane County. It looks like they maybe they were awarded against them a $24 million punitive damage award, but they're looking at that one that maybe that was too much. The point is, some of these cases are just getting blown out of the water, and you're seeing these huge awards and people are leaving the state. What's that mean to the county is whoever wants to pick that up, you're probably going to see increased costs for us to get insurance care in the jails. So that's just a little more depth on that one letter. With that, unless my colleagues have anything to answer, that's consent agenda. Okay.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to approve consent agenda. Any other questions or anything on consent? Okay, seeing none, we'll call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And we have one motion item today, Public Works.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sean Rowe, Public Works. Today before you, we have amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement with BHC Consulting for needed solid waste engineering services for an increase of $400,000 to a $1 million contract. This amendment is for the construction of Cell 10 Engineering and Design. We anticipate construction in 2026 currently. This will account for geologists, hydrologists, civils, gas infrastructure, stormwater, and such things like that as we plan for the development of the landfill.
Sean, could you just for the public's information, describe why the increase?
Yeah, so as we had planned, we had planned for 30% designs originally. We're at that point. As we continued the development, we need to increase that up to 100% design. And so that's why we're asking for this amendment. The contract with BHC covers quite a bit of items, especially operational, even at Tenant Way. So as we first designed this contract back at the beginning of the year, those dollars did not include, say, Tenant Way. We needed to address the flare there. We do have continuing ongoing support at the landfill for waste acceptance or other operational issues. But this amendment itself is specifically designed for Cell 10 itself.
So is this information basically cradle to grave for cell 10, or is it just the design for the construction?
This is just the design for the liner system itself at the landfill.
What's the expected time frame for it to get done, for them to get done with the design?
So we are anticipating receiving the final design with the permits in November, December, so we can do an early year bid just for material procurement because this work needs to be done in the dry because of some of the conditions out there. So we're hoping to go out for bid either December or January.
And this also gives us plenty of time. We're not completely full with cell 9. This gives us plenty of time to get 10 ready to go. So we're not behind the 8 ball.
100%, that's correct. Yeah, it gives us time to finish Cell 9 and move into Cell 10 at our convenience.
Next summer? Is it at the time frame to open cell 10?
That'll be construction. We'll probably move into it in late 27.
Okay.
Do these permits have any expiration, Sean, or once you get them, are they there?
So the permits do have timelines on them. They're generally 2 years with the ability to
Timelines.
extend them. So going out, getting them in the fall, going out to bid in November, December, we'll have plenty of time to do the construction.
If any delays come after 2028, then we'd have to
You can,
re-permit it.
yeah, you'll reapply for the permits, but I don't see us not being complete by then.
Yeah.
At current waste introduction, I guess, whatever you want to call it, at current transfers, how long is the cell lasting us right now?
Great question. Let me go to my paperwork.
I would say that depends, which is a true statement, but he'll give you paperwork because all of our cells are slightly different sizes. And so that's why the answer is it depends, but Sean has predictions on all of them.
So Cell 10 is approximately 3.7 million cubic yards, and there's an estimated life of 4 3/4 years on that.
On some of these cells that we have more of the municipal waste in, and you've probably answered this for me before, because that compacts or goes or, degenerates over time, are you able to open up and reuse those cells?
Yeah, 100%.
If you had to?
Yeah, so as we continue to fill the landfill, we do our aerial surveys twice a year, and we track our compaction and settling and such things like that. And we continue to plan our fills around those. On the outer edges, it's much more important, so we can do our final cover and things at a timely basis.
Right.
Internally, when we are, say, pancake layering them, we have a better ability to come back and refill those areas.
Perfect. Any other questions?
$1 million to a layperson is a lot of money. It's like, oh my gosh. So what do they do for $1 million? I mean, how many hours does that entail of planning? I mean, honestly, they have to really work. I mean, the hours would have to be astronomical to warrant $1 million. Is that going to be accomplished? I mean, are they going to have that much? I guess what I'm going to say, is it really going to take $1 million to cover what they're going to do? Because does it take that many hours to plan, to do these planning workups?
So the short answer is yes, but the $1 million is not just for the cell. We've spent money on fill plans. They're doing some work at Tenant Way on the flares, replacing the flares. And so the work to design a cell, and in this cell particularly, they found some groundwater is higher in part of the cell than they were anticipating, so we're going to have to do some extra work in that area. So by finding it now, doing the geology and working around it. So a cell design requires geotech going out, doing some drilling. So you've got your drilling expenses, that engineer who does a big report and a study. Then you have the design of your layers as you go up so that we don't leak, because none of us want us to leak. Then we have the multiple layers with above that for gas collection and leachate collection, and planning that all the way up and how you interface with the other cell. When you go out to do the construction, you also look at how do we direct the storm drain before the cell starts working, so that we can keep that separate from our leachate, so we don't have to pay to treat that. So we have temporary when we're installing. So there's phasing plans, the whole design. The general rule of thumb, so for landfill design, 15% of your construction costs. So if it was a $10 million landfill, 15% of that can be anticipated for, at a minimum, for your engineering, your design engineering. And then on top of that, there's another 10% during construction, where you have construction, inspection, and testing. So 25% of any public works project is engineering. And the more complicated the project, the higher end on that scale it is. So a landfill and a bridge are the high end. Building a road, as long as you don't find anything archaeological or strange in the geotech world, is pretty straightforward, comparatively speaking. So that was a long way to say, yes, it's a lot of hours, but there is the main company and multiple subs working on it all at the same time. The coordination, getting our permits from ecology and environmental health is a process, plus Southwest Clean Air Agency.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, I didn't want to answer the question, but $1 million to us paying the taxes is a lot.
It is.
Thank you.
And I just want to add in, it might be helpful to give a little bit more of the size of this cell. It's 16.79 acres. So just to give some scale to it, it is quite a large site as well.
One of the questions was, how long does a cell last? And you related your answer to the square foot of a particular cell. Are there any other variables in there, like a different type of material or different contracts or whatever that will also affect how long a cell lasts?
100%. So the 3.6 million cubic yards is just the volume of the cell. Now, depending on the type of waste that comes in, as Commissioner Dahl had indicated, how it decides to compact, how it will rot in essence, those all play a key factor into the actual life of it. What we report at the 4 3/4 years is the straight line on that. It will most likely last a significant period of time longer than that.
Okay, do we anticipate any new type of material or anything during that 3 or 4 years life you're anticipating?
At this time, we don't have any additional material that would be bringing in.
Okay, thank you.
And in addition, cell 10 is an outside cell, for lack of a better word. So a inside cell with a 16-acre footprint will last longer because you can fill up on both sides and don't have the side slope. So the cell 10, because it's an exterior cell, will have a 3-to-1 side slope permanently installed, where the interior will basically have straight lines. So interior would have a longer life.
So our landfill is municipal waste only, or does it take in some hazardous waste?
So we take industrial waste from our mills and then MSW municipal solid waste from ourselves and surrounding counties.
Okay, and do we still have rail access to the landfill?
Pardon me?
Do we still have rail access to the landfill?
There is no longer rail.
No longer any rail, okay. Just a point, I understand that one of the issues in the California burns down there is getting rid of all of their hazardous waste from the burn material, asbestos and things, and we're not in that business, are we?
We're not.
Okay, thank
We've, you correct me, but I think traditionally this was mainly industrial waste, which is like dirt and
Yeah, so the industrial waste-
compromised dirt and stuff, which really has no compaction, it has no degeneration. So I think our crew has done a good job of introducing the MSW or the municipal waste that does that. It actually gives your landfill a longer life and it actually produces more of the gas, which we got us to the point where we're hoping to have a deal with PUD until that got shuttled. So I think they've done a good job of trying to make that mix a little better than just one-sided.
By comparison, how many acres is cell 9 that we're working on?
Cell 9 was 13.3.
And how long has it lasted?
Cell 9 would be about 5.5 years.
Okay,
And that's an interior cell.
It's one slope is exterior, while cell 10 has two slopes that are exterior. For example, when we get to, say, cell 12 in the future, it's only 5.2 acres, but it's 4.5 million cubic yards because it's an interior cell.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
you good?
Move to approve amendment number 1, professional services agreement with BHC Consultants LLC as presented by staff.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the amendment number 1 to professional service agreement. Last chance. Seeing no one? Okay, we'll call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Sean. Before we open it up, just a reminder, this Wednesday at 2:30, we have a workshop with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. It's the first time we've had them in, so if you want to have some conversation with them or hear what they have to say, it will be this Wednesday at 2 Thursday. The following Wednesday at 2:30, the 30th, Department of Ecology will be back. And then the following Wednesday at 2:30, Community Mediation Center will be in and chatting with us. With that, we'll open up public comment.
The discussion on landfill is very coincidental. My questions or comment has to do with waste handling in our community. Is that I'm getting input from some of the local contractors that trying to get in and out of the waste control facility on Third Avenue is becoming a nightmare. In one, we're blocking off the traffic on the road with people backed up. Trucks and things trying to get in and jackknife to try to get in and dump, et cetera, is becoming not only time consuming, et cetera, it's becoming hazardous. I don't know what your awareness of this situation is. And some of them are asking, why in the heck don't we utilize just the tenant way facility? We have a complete facility down there that is not being used that could be a transfer facility for more efficient operations. And it's sitting there doing nothing as far as we can tell.
We've, first off, Waste Control controls their facility. They'll work with us, but they don't always listen to us. and Sean can bring up to date on what we have done down there to try to help with that. And from my knowledge, that has worked better. So I'm a little surprised to hear that it's still a big problem. But
So let me comment, just a response. They try to listen, we pay their bill, so we do need to get them to listen to us.
So at the transfer station, we have heard concerns with some of the commercial haulers, especially those that have their own self-tipping trailers or self-tipping trucks. We did take steps late last year for a time period in the mornings of about 2 hours that are for contractors only, that allows them premium access into the transfer station. The transfer station was built in 2007, and so it is an aging facility. We have wanted to work with them on a better plan as we continue to grow within the area. It does have limited space, only 2 bays for any of the self-tipping trailer options or truck options. The rest of those are manual unloading. We have discovered that some of the more contractors prefer not to manually unload their vehicles or equipment. We do understand that the backup can get significant, especially during the premium times at the transfer station. And we've tried to address that as well with waste control and the flow of the traffic within there. And it's an ongoing process, and I think we are continuing to work with them to try and optimize that transfer station as much as possible.
My observation of the efficiency is that most contractors and many of us private people now have dump beds that dump up, et cetera, for dumping. Well, you can't use those on the belts, et cetera. You still have to go and dump everything on the ground to be handled again and moved around again. And if you have just a short bed, backing up to the conveyors, et cetera, is a nightmare, et cetera, closing off traffic. So let's put it in perspective of contractors and people that we're trying to make efficient construction for everything. That's a nightmare down there if you want to be a contractor or just an individual like I am with a dual axle dump bed trying to get in and get out, jackknifing, et cetera. That's inefficient and dangerous.
how long is our contract with waste control?
2044.
Yeah, it goes out. And that was signed, I think, before we took over the,
Yes, the
Landfill.
original contract, I think, was 2006.
yeah. So unless we wanted to build our own facility, I mean, I can't force waste control to build. We can put pressure on them for sure, but
And
kind of have a monopoly.
yeah.
Okay, we can look at all we're doing.
And then I did want to address the tenant way as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We have sold the tenant way buildings and dump site to the Port of Longview. They have taken ownership of that. That did close.
How has waste control been in previous conversations? Have they been receptive to any ideas and changes?
They have been. We did have that ownership change in 2020, and I think that the relationship has been good there, and they're open to conversations and trying to do the best within their facility that they have and looking beyond that as well.
We would like them to have a plan to expand or do something bigger there, but so far they've been resistant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just, again, waste control, it just brings up, we know that we have some monopolistic businesses in our community driving the prices higher, et cetera, because of just the way they've seated themselves over time. Good business for them, but not good business for us. Wilcox and Flagel is another one. We can all look at the prices on the gases in our community, and you drive just outside and the prices drop 10, 20, 30, 40 cents. And that is Fred Meyer's, and those are all tied into basically another monopoly. So, it's an awareness that we need to be aware of, and thinking is that it's again, how do we encourage competition? And that's
Yeah.
And county, your bids and things are a great opportunity in whatever way to encourage competition.
Okay. Anything else?
I just have a plea, if you will. Tonight, Toledo or Tootle is having a school board meeting. And in that meeting, they are going to determine whether or not to let boys participate in the girls' competition, sports competitions, and as well in their shower rooms, okay, bathrooms. We're hoping for a large turnout, so I'm hoping the audience will maybe think about going as well at 6 o'clock in the library at Tootle. You know, if we could get people to go and we could stop that, it's going to cost them. The state is going to, get upset, not fund them, but they're standing for moral righteousness. And I think we need to support them. So I'm hoping that maybe one or two, so many of you guys would like to go. It's a first. Our Castle Rock people, they haven't come to that point yet, but Tootle has, and I applaud them greatly and support them. And I'm just hoping that other people will. Thank you.
We hear the threats all the time that they'll take away funding, and I gotta tell you, I don't think it's constitutionally in our state legal to take away school funding, so.
Not Bridget.
Take away the added expense for certain special programs.
I was surprised that you didn't bring anything up from the general on the Woodland, Port of Woodland TIF that the three commissioners there voted down, et cetera, and whether you're for it or against it. There was a lot of good communication that was generated by just bringing it to the surface of truth and transparency and visibility that allowed people to form their opinions anyway. So for better or worse, there was a good process. I would consider that Cowlitz County and you commissioners were key in stimulating discussion and awareness. Thank you.
Yeah.
We participated in a lot of those public meetings and different forums that it came up for discussion at city council meetings, at the port commissioners meetings, and we had taken a position as a board against that TIF, that tax incremental funding program that they were working on. And fortunately, it did generate enough interest, and different people from all across the county got involved with it enough to successfully, from my position, from our position, successfully stop that thing. I was in the meeting when they voted against it. So was Steve Rader, excuse me. And I got to tell you, I've just held my breath right to the last minute on that thing, waiting to see which way it was going to go, because I know one of the commissioners was very, very much for it, wanting to make that go. But public pressure and testimony swayed that thing enough to push it to a stop, which felt like a stay of execution from sitting up here for what that was going to do to the county. So yeah, that was a process, and I was tickled to death to see that much involvement from the public, that people got out, went to the meetings, voiced their opinion. And as far as I know, I never talked to anybody except for the one port commissioner who was for that. Every single person that I talked to in the meetings where people ask, where the commissioners ask, was there anybody for it? Not a single person stood up for that TIF to happen.
Yeah, I would say the work really isn't over. Now it kind of shifts to our representatives and our people that represented us in Olympia to try and adjust that a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily a bad program if you keep it within a scope, but when you put a program that nobody else, all the affected parties don't have a say in it, it can create a problem like we saw down there. With a scope of 25 years, it's just beyond on reason. So think there needs to be some bumpers put on that legislation to make sure that affected parties are more involved from the get-go and aren't just hit with this.
Yeah, and Commissioner Wiles' comments at that meeting are a testament to the fact that it should have been handled differently from the get-go, that the affected junior taxing districts should have been involved and at the table prior to spending the money that they were going to spend on the consulting firm putting it together for them. So, yeah, we, as a county commission, we expressed our disapproval with it and that we were not in favor of it. And Commissioner or Chairman Dahl is really the one that spearheaded that to get that word out into the community. And it's something that we need to stay on top of, as the Chairman said, with regards to our legislatures. But I've also already heard rumors that there are municipalities within the county that are looking to utilize that same funding mechanism for things within their municipalities. So we want to make sure that we are communicating with the powers that be within those communities and municipalities and have open lines of communication with what the intent is and who's affected moving forward.
That was a good effort by all of you. Anything else?
I'm probably going to be repeating what's already been said, but I think when we have joined together as a group and we've all been on the same page through this, this has been a lesson to us to know that if we gather together and stick up for what we believe, that it's gonna work in the right favor. And I just appreciate you guys standing up for us, and because I really feel if we wouldn't have had the showing in the last few meetings that we've had, they would have slipped it under the covers and it would have passed. So we need to be positive, and when things like this come up again, we need to stand together and fight for our freedom, our rights, and representation. So thank you, guys.
Well, really, we appreciate that, but really thank yous to you. I say it almost every week. We appreciate you participating in your government. Mr. Dreyer's been doing it for years and years and years. So I think it's something that all of us as citizens on the other side of this desk need to just participate. A lot of times it's probably boring and you got better things to do, but it can have a big impact on you. It can happen about like that if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, that's really true. And I think the same thing. If we wouldn't have said something, they would have done it. No question about it. With that first meeting I went to, it was a done deal. They were definitely going to go for that. And I think Flo and Elaine were there. And you know, then everybody got mustered up after that. And we stopped something that was going to happen that shouldn't have. Which brings me to the next point is, I noticed they just made like a law now that, you know, our health department suddenly has a lot more power, you know. I've just been reading up on this a little bit in Facebook, so I don't really know. I haven't read the bills or anything, you know, how that language goes, but they got some in there like we can't make resolutions like our vaccine resolution. Looks like our local health department people, I don't know, I've been waiting to see Gina come through here because I wanted to ask her about this. But they're going to have a lot more power over mandating mandates, you know, which is something that brought us all here in the first place, you know? So, you know, right away, maybe you guys ought to crank out a resolution that says our resolutions are good to go. You know what I mean? Like that, we're sticking to our resolutions, you know? That's kind of a joke, but it's kind of true too. You know, it's like, I feel like there's like maybe we won the first round, but there's another round coming. It kind of feels that way.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm fairly safe in speaking for us up here. We're going to fight for the rights of you guys. I don't see a time when we're not going to fight for the rights of you guys, but it takes more than three people.
Yeah, it does.
It takes the community to also join and stand up also. So I would say whatever happens up there, you can overcome it. Sometimes it just takes some work and takes some backbone, but you're not gonna see us shy away from trying to protect what we believe, which is your rights and liberties.
Well, I can't speak for everybody, but be right with you on that myself, for sure.
Well, you know, Glenn Morgan, you know who he is.
Yeah.
And one of the things he says all the time is the future belongs to those who show up.
It's true.
And I believe I've read the bill that you're in reference to, and somehow they before that passed, there's a sentence that got put in there that says that this bill, in essence, it says in no way is meant to remove your right to body autonomy and make a decision for yourself. But then it goes on and says all those things that says basically the state board of health has the final authority on every dang thing under the sun.
Yeah.
And the local authority has none. Basically, that's just about what it says. But there is that statement in there that somebody got in there before it passed. That says that basically you still have a right to decide what's going to happen to your body.
Yeah.
So
let's hope.
Unfortunately, this legislative season, there's going to be a lot of stuff to weed through and figure out. It's all over the place. So,
and they're still in session, I think,
Yeah.
until the 29th or something.
we got some ecology bills that make us worrisome on the landfill, giving ecology more authority over that. I mean, it's a big gamut. This session is just really broad.
Yeah, on that piece of legislation, I could be wrong, but I believe what it's saying is they're firming up the language, not necessarily to affect our individual rights, but the effects of our local authority and boards here as a county, that we have to abide by whatever the state's best practices are for those types of things, which is where there would be opposition. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and those scientific grounding, yeah, language. Whose scientist do you want to believe?
Anything else? Okay. Once again, thanks for participating. Mr. Dyer, good to see you, sir. We will adjourn.